All right, everybody. We are going to set up the hit reactions and the stuns now. So this will be requiring um, our character data again. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to close all these tabs so we can start from fresh. And we're going to start with going to our ABP hero. Character, hero, then open up the animation for our hero. All right, so right here at the spot here between locomotion and set directionality, we need to set up an override. So the reason being that when we get hit, we can be hit from any animation state. So rather than sit here and have paths going to all animations, we can set it up in the ABP hero to just call an override. Okay, so we'll just go to the animation graph, and off of here, we will get a new override slot. And we'll plug that into here. And now we can call this moment in time between these two animation sections to disrupt and add a completely different animation. Okay, so compile and save. We're going to go to our base character. Okay, and then in our base character, we're going to add a new variable called getHitAnim. Okay, and this is going to be set of type paper ZD anim sequence. Okay. And we'll compile, save. And now we will go to our hero blueprint. And then we'll look for the inherited variable that was just made, right? And then, we save all and everything. We're not seeing it, no problem. We go to this little gear up here, we can click on the show inherited variables. But now by doing that, we should see the get hit anim over here. And our hero has a hit animation. So with that selected, we're going to go over here and we're just going to select the hit animation. And compile and save. So that's finished. Now we can go back to our character's main character, like over parent base. Okay, we're going to go to the event graph. We're going to find any damage. And then after we call decrease health, we're going to get the animation component. We're going to pull off of here. Sorry, we're going to need to get our animation component first. Get the animation component off of here. Now we can get an animation instance. We get anim instance. Now we have all our references in place. With the get anim instance, we can play the override. We can access that override that we added. Play animation override with callbacks. Okay, it's a fairly large code. We don't need these print strings anymore anyways. All right. Trying to make it as neat as possible. Now that we're playing we got the animation override is in place. We can set the animation sequence to hit. and the slot should remain default. Sorry, we don't want to set this to hit. My bad. We actually want to bring in the variable get and plug that straight in. Forgot we made a variable for that. Okay. So after we got the override, we've got the characters set up here. Okay, we're going to delete this break. Okay, and we need to fill up these 3 spots here. Okay, so what we're going to do is, with this available to us, we are going to character data. We're going to set the members in the character data, and then we're going to turn on the isStunned. Okay, and we'll put this up here. And we'll plug that in there. And then we set isDone to true. Okay. And then with this, I'm going to duplicate this. And on completed and on canceled, we'll set stun to false. Oh, I forgot we need the reference. Make sure you plug that reference. All right, so we're going to go back to the BP hero, and we're going to set it up so that the BP hero can't move while stunned. Well, quite simply, we just need to disable our movement input on the hero. All right, so we can grab our health component, BPC health, and from that we can access our character data. And then from here we can break, which means we can now access our stunned state and our alive state while we're at it. We need a branch. So let's be on our keyboard and then click. Okay. And we can put this branch right up here off of true there. All right. All right, so now we want to check if the character is stunned or alive. And if they're not, that will trigger false. We want to trigger false on both of these. The first thing we're going to do is off alive is alive. We'll do an and Boolean. And we'll plug that right in here. So if the character is alive, is true, they'll be able to move. It's false, nothing happens. Right? What about is stunned? Is stunned, if is stunned is true, I don't want them to be able to move. So we're going to need to add a not Boolean. Reverse it. If it's not, if the character is stunned is not true, then nothing will happen. Okay. Now we can add a defeated state to our hero. Let's go back to our animation for our hero. And we're going to go into locomotion. Okay. And inside of our locomotion, we're going to right click and add a jump. Okay, so this allows us to add an animation to this graph without tying it directly to one of these states. So in other words, the character can be killed from any point. Okay, um, so we will rename this jump to the defeat jump. Okay, and off of here we will do an animation state. We'll rename it defeated. And then we'll double click the state, which will bring us inside of here and play the death animation. Play die. Compile and save. Now we need to trigger this jump we've created. I have apparently labeled these wrong. Super important that the spelling of these is perfect. There we go. File and save. And we're going to go back to our base. So where the override finishes here, on the from the completed and canceled, we're going to get this as well. Again, and we'll just break this. Okay. We'll add a branch. We'll plug in is alive branch. Okay, and off of this branch, we're going to plug this into here. Now we want to trigger the death animation off of the true, right? So if the hero is alive is true, then the death animation won't trigger. So we need to add one of those not Boolean codes here. Swap that out. That. Okay. So off of after stunned, we can now go to the jump node, but we can't go to the jump node without a reference. So we can grab the animation component. Off the animation component, we can grab an anim instance. Now that we have a reference, we can call the jump to node, which off of true will jump to that animation of the sprite. Now this is where we want to make sure we put the name of that jump node perfectly. So this defeat jump. Okay, if you're at all insecure about it, you can copy this, go over here, and just paste it right in. You have no problem. All right, now if we hit play, then our turkey should come over, will hit us a bunch of times, and then we should fall down and die. Okay. Looks like there's a couple things we missed here. One off the top of my head is to go into the defeated, the play die, make sure you turn off the looping. let's try that again. I'm stunned, stunned. Now I've died. Can't see with the turkey in the way. Nope, I'm just doing an idle animation. All right, let's see where I've gone wrong. First thing I'll check is, did I set up my animations properly? Did set up the animations properly. And we have the get anim. Animation is hit. Yeah, no, that's right. The hitting's working. Play die. Locomotion. Repeated. Right, we just skipped a whole section. No problem. So where we left off here was on the base, right? We got the jump node. Oh, well, the name of this is wrong as well. I didn't. You can see how that mattered. I bet the animation just. And we died. Okay, the animation worked that time. But we did kind of miss something. We need to make another function. So let's go to our hero, DP hero. Where we got the AI move. And then we're just going to turn this whole mess into a function to keep it a little bit cleaner for us. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click, collapse to a function. And now it has become this function here. We're just going to delete that function. We don't need that. This new function, though, we're going to rename this can act. Okay. And now we will go into the can act function. Set this. And we will grab the can act first node here. We're just going to check this box to pure. Okay, compile and save. And then we go back to the event graph, bring in our new function, and now we can plug that in all nice and neat. All right. Okay, thanks you so much, everybody. I'll see you all on the next one.